Hello, everybody. Welcome to the YouNeek Show. My name is Roye Okupe. I am the founder and CEO of YouNeek Studios. For those of you that don't know what YouNeek Studios is, it is my company that I started to create fantasy stories inspired by African history, culture, and mythology, but for a global audience. Now, most of you know me as the creator, showrunner, and executive producer of Iyanu, a show that premiered on Cartoon Network earlier this year, and is now available actually to stream. All episodes of season one are available to stream on HBO Max if you're in the US, ITVX if you're in the UK, Showmax if you're in Africa, and ABCiview if you are in Australia. Today, we're here to talk about something cool, something amazing, and that is the fighting styles that you get to see in Iyanu season one, and obviously, you get to see more of that in season two. So, like I said, if you haven't checked out Iyanu yet, make sure you go out there and stream and you support. But for now, let's get into the fighting styles. Welcome to the YouNeek Show, where we talk about all things YouNeek Studios, African geekdom, and the business of creators. Okay, today I want to break down the four fighting styles in the Yano series and what they actually reveal about the heroes. But before we go into that, let's talk about the inspiration. Why did we even use, for those, I think I mentioned this in another video, that for us, we wanted to use Capoeira as the base of everything that we're doing with the fighting styles. So why? If you don't know, Capoeira actually started off as something called Ngolo in Central Africa, Angola to be specific. And unfortunately, it was shipped over with the slaves, which is why, you get to see Capoeira in, Brazil. So for us, we wanted to use something that we felt was, as close as possible to, where the action was going to be taking place, even though Iyanu is inspired by West African, specifically Yoruba culture. Capoeira felt like a natural fit for everything we wanted to do with the fighting styles. And sure, it looks, pretty cool. Anyway, it's really dynamic, really cool stuff that you get to see in Capoeira and in our show as well. The first fighting style is called The Way of the Leaf. And you're going to be seeing clips from the actual show and how these characters use it. But before we get into that, who uses The Way of the Golden Leaf? So it's Iyano and Olori. And The Way of the Golden Leaf is more of like an evasive, acrobatic, and counter-attacking type of capoeira. It shows when you see Olori and Iyano fight, they're usually probing for weaknesses as opposed to just going out there and just attacking willy nilly. It's about fighting smart, not brutal, and they get to actually use the opponent's strengths against them. Let's check out a clip from this is from episode one, where Iyano is actually being trained by Olori how to use the way of the golden leaf.
Me to address you on matters of fact.
Continue.
The Agoni witch Olori lives in exile in the forest. I fear she has a devious agenda.
She is the last of the Agoni and may be our only hope in cleansing the corrupt from our lands. If anything happens
We
to
will
her,
have one less exile to worry about. But since you're so concerned about the last of the Agoni, I am working on a plan.
I yield. How do you always win?
I'm not fighting to win. I'm allowing you to exhaust yourself with only defensive moves.
Is that the way of the Agoni?
Partially, we believe that...
Okay. So like I said, pretty cool stuff. Once again, like if you take a look at Olori in this instance, right? Because Iyano is actually not using the way of the golden leaf, hence why she's being trained. But what we wanted to do with this scene is really not only show obviously capoeira and the fighting style, but really show what Olori is trying to teach Iyano. Like she said, I'm not fighting to win, right? She's more like probing for her defenses. And again, like one of the things that we talked about early in the writers' room was we wanted each region in Yoruba to sort of like have their own fighting style. And for Olori, who is a priestess in Yorubaland, we felt like something that was more calculating, more evasive, more of not necessarily trying to get in your face, but more like trying to probe out your enemy's weaknesses was something that fits well with her. And again, if you've seen season one, you watch as Yano actually grows from just being, rapid with her attacks and just attacking willy nilly to somebody that actually learns to focus on everything that Olori was trying to teach. And again, also one of the cool things that you get to you see in this scene, which is very popular in Capoeira, is the jinga, right? It was something that we really wanted to set the tone. Where is it? If I can find it, it was something that I wanted to set the tone earlier on in the series. Here we go, the Jenga. Yeah, I thought that it was pretty cool to add that there in episode one. And shout out to our animators and our storyboard artists for really doing a cool job. All right, let's go to the next one. The way actually I'm going to do two of them because I wanted to share a video that actually shows both styles going against each other. The first is the way of the fire ant. Um, so this fighting style is actually used by the people of the deep. For those that haven't watched, I won't spoil too much, but the people of the deep are essentially raiders and sort of like these. I guess they call them pirates. They basically go out there and just take what they want without thinking about how it's going to affect anybody else. And their fighting style, the way of the fire ant, is actually an aggressive and relentless, fast-paced fighting styles. As you can see, excuse me, fighting style. You can see here. This art was actually done by one of our directors, Dawood. You can see here. Sometimes they actually, not sometimes, but most of them actually fight with weapons when it comes to the way of the fire ant. And for me, again, from the writers' room, one of the things that we again wanted to stress was how these things are not just cool to look at, but how each of these styles actually play into the characteristics of the people using them. So, people of the deep as raiders and people that are just aggressive, take whatever they want. It was it was more fitting to give them a more aggressive form of capoeira. And why the way of the fire ant, right? Fire ants, you actually see them; they actually attack in hordes, and that's one of the things that the people of the deep use with their fighting technique. The next one is the way of the tortoise. This is this is used by the Esho warriors, specifically Kamfo, who is the general of the Esho warriors. The Esho warriors are sort of like the guardians of the city of Elu, which is the last standing city in Yorubaland. For those that don't know about our show, humanity has sort of like gone into hiding because the corrupt, which are essentially berserk animals with glowing red eyes, are trying to destroy, everyone. So Elu is one of the last standing cities in Yorubaland. But yeah, they are sure they're essentially like the police inside Elu, and their form is the way of the tortoise. And you can see this is also a sort of like a group type of capoeira, and involves them using weapons, so shields and spears as well. As you can see, one of the things here, one of the motifs that we're going for is if you look at this image, they've come together, and essentially this entire grouping of people looks like a tortoise, excuse me, shell. So once again, how does that fit with character? If you've watched the show, if you look at Kanfo and their show warriors, they're very sturdy, they're very rigid, very very stubborn people. So we felt like a more defensive type of capoeira would be something that actually gels well with their characteristics and their way of life, as well. So check out a clip again from season one where we show Jaja, who is one of the people of the deep, and fighting Kanfo, who is the Esho warrior, and you get to see how these fighting styles go against each other.
Countful, you owe me blood. What breed of monster has Nuru turned you into? He didn't turn me into a monster. He just empowered the one within.
Okay,
Countful,
so
you
once again, you can see how the different fighting styles play out, right? If you look at Kanfo, for instance, he's sort of like very sturdy, trying to be on the defensive. While Jaja, again, the way of the fire ant is just relentless, aggressive. It's attack, 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 without even thinking about defense. And obviously, this is not the conclusion of their fight. Again, if you haven't seen Iyanu season 1, if not for anything, the fighting styles are they're just amazing. And again, shout out to our animation team, storyboard artist, and all the directors. Fun fact: I actually wrote and directed this episode, and one of the things I wanted to do, and I'll go into it in a different video. One of the things I wanted to do was really put this contrasting fighting styles against one another and see how it comes out. So again, the way of the tortoise, which is more of the defensive type of capoeira, versus the way of the fire ant, which is aggressive and relentless. Okay, let's take a look at the final fighting style in Yorubaland, which is the way of the river. Now, this fighting style is used by the Riverlands, and B, which is one of our main characters in Team Chosen, is actually from the Riverlands. This fighting style was heavily, and I mean heavily, inspired by Dambe boxing, which is a martial arts that originates from the northern part of Nigeria. This is one that was very, very important to us to get out there. And if you look at some of the early, drawings that we did, I believe these sketches were done by another one of our directors, Darnell Johnson. So shout out to Darnell. We really wanted to pay homage to Dambe, which is more of a striking, art. Again, inspired by the Hausa Dambe boxing, and it's really, really punch heavy. It's punch and evasive rolls, and flowing type movements. Now we took this Dambe and we sort of tried to make it our own. And the reason why it's called the Way of the River, not only are the Riverlanders close to um, a bunch of rivers, which is why they are called the Riverlanders, but we wanted to again sort of like merge that with the characteristics of the Riverlanders. So the Riverlanders are very flexible people, right? So they go with the flow, right? So if you look at water, if you look at the river, right, it's malleable, it's flexible, it flows with the circumstances, and that's sort of the way you get to see how we infused the heavy striking of Dambe with what we wanted to do here with the way of the river. So once again, we tried to make it our own. These sketches were done by, I believe this is Darnell's work as well. Maybe it might be Dawood. But again, yeah, we're very, very, very happy and excited with the way it came out. But let's actually take a look at a clip of B using the Way of the River fighting style in one of our episodes.
Save some for me.
Nice shot! Behind you!
Yes! Wonder! Woohoo! Oh, you want to play? Then let's play. Round 1, fight! Too slow. Are you even trying?
On your left! No, your other left!
Okay. Again, really, really, really cool. So I haven't seen some of these episodes in a while because I just got tired of seeing them over and over and over again. But it's really cool to actually, first of all, go back and see just how cool all of this stuff came out. This episode was directed by Darnell Johnson. I think he did a fantastic job trying to, fit in all the stuff that, again, right from the writer's room, we wanted to really, really, really have a moment where B came into his own. And this was, I think, the first time in the season where we really got to see him in action. But again, you can see everything that I spoke about with the Way of the River, like, striking, rolling, going with the flow, not necessarily anything sort of super structured, sort of like just trying to, very unorthodox and just like creative and on your feet type of fighting, but again grounded in the tenets of the way of the river, where it's like striking from the Dambe and then also going with the flow. You can see the tilt and the movement and the acrobatics and the rolling. So while everything is not super like concrete and rehearsed and sturdy, there is some method to the madness, and it's not just improvisation. So yeah, I think it all came out pretty cool. But yeah, here's some more images from some of the sketches of early on when we were trying to see how these styles will come out. This is Yano using the way of the golden leaf. This is Olori also using the way of the golden leaf. Again, like I said, a lot of research, a lot of time, a lot of effort was gone into ensuring that the way our characters fight weren't just random, but again, tied to their character, tied to who they were, where they were from, how they operate. And I think it really, really, really it came out looking, really cool. So again, I strongly urge you, if you haven't checked out Iyanu season 1 yet, please do check it out on HBO Max if you're in the US, ITVX if you're in the UK, Showmax if you're in Africa, and ABCiview if you are in uh, Australia. Because then again, like I said, we're really bringing a lot of cool stuff with the capoeira. So let me know in the comments what's your favorite fighting style. If you have any questions, any comments, anything you wanted to talk about, put it in the chat. If you have a question for my next video, if there's something that you want me to talk about that you saw in Iyanu that you want me to explain more, please ensure that you put it in the comments, and I will try to address it. And I read every comment, so if you have a question, I will try and get back to you, really quickly. But then until I see you, until we chat, take care, peace out, and watch Iyanu. Make sure you watch Iyanu, please, please. All right, take care.